And you're only saved from utter humiliation by a totally clumsy foul and a guy sitting in a video replay booth.
It was a mess.
Welcome to the deep dive. We are dropping you right into the thick of the 2026 tournament today, specifically focusing on that agonizing round of 16 match.
Yeah.
The one where France didn't exactly conquer Paraguay, but rather,
France arrived carrying the overwhelming expectation of an entire nation. They're armed with this unmatched pedigree, a massive budget, a roster of superstars.
Yeah, they had this aura.
Right. They stepped onto the grass projecting the aura of a team that believed victory was simply a formality, like it was just owed to them.
Paraguay, meanwhile, brought, a fraction of that pedigree and resources, but they played with the desperation of a team fighting for their absolute lives.
Oh, they left it all out there.
And the source material offers this brilliant analogy that I just haven't been able to stop thinking about. They said watching France play was like watching a luxury Ferrari being driven by someone who flat out refuses to shift above second gear.
That is so spot on.
Right. The engine is roaring, the exhaust is popping, the potential is incredibly obvious, but the actual forward momentum is entirely stagnant.
That analogy perfectly captures the sheer frustration of their performance. I mean, the talent was clearly on display, but the application of that talent was just totally disjointed.
See, I love the Ferrari metaphor, but I kind of have to push back a little on the prevailing media narrative that France was playing with swagger.
Okay, how so?
Well, swagger implies confidence that's actually backed up by execution. What I saw didn't look like the swagger of a champion. To me, it looked like a gifted student who entirely blew off studying for the final exam, but still, struck into the classroom expecting to get an A+ simply because of their famous last name.
Oh, wow.
It felt remarkably entitled.
Entitlement is the perfect word for it, honestly. Because in knockout tournament football, expectation is the ultimate enemy of preparation.
Exactly.
France seemed to genuinely believe their sheer individual brilliance would just spontaneously overwhelm the opposition at some point. But Paraguay didn't just survive that arrogance. They actively weaponized it.
Yeah, they really did.
They arrived with a highly specific, disciplined game plan engineered to exploit that exact sense of French entitlement.
So let's transition right into how they actually executed that. Because if France was driving a Ferrari in second gear, we really need to examine the roadblock Paraguay set up to force them to stall out.
Right.
Applying the first rule of the Sports Pulse HQ tactical eye test, we have to look entirely past the possession stats.
Right, because if you only check the box score, you'd see France dominated possession. The traditional narrative says they dictated the tempo.
Sure, on paper.
But the tactical eye test demands we look at the penetration, right? The quality of the chances created from that possession. And in this case, the quality was practically non-existent.
Just side-to-side passing.
Exactly. Holding the ball 40 yards from goal while the opponent comfortably watches you just pass it around, that isn't control. It's sterile domination.
And the architect of that sterile domination was Paraguay's manager, Gustavo Alfaro. He deployed a 5-4-1 formation, which our source describes not just as a defensive setup, but as a completely fortified bunker.
Fortified is the right word.
And they draw a very clear distinction here. They didn't just park the bus.
No, not at all. Because parking the bus usually implies this chaotic, desperate retreat into your own penalty area. Just throwing bodies in front of shots and hoping for the best.
Right, like a panic move.
Yeah. What Alfaro orchestrated was a masterclass in organized structural frustration. He had a backline of 5, shielded immediately by a midfield block of 4. They squeezed the space between those two lines so tightly that honestly you couldn't slide a credit card between them.
Which brings us to the most glaring symptom of this tactical failure, Kylian Mbappé.
Oh, absolutely.
The report highlights how totally isolated he was. You saw him dropping incredibly deep, roaming toward the touchlines, desperately hunting for the ball because the link-up play in the final third was dead on arrival.
It really was.
But I have to stop you there and ask a genuine question about this.
Sure, go ahead.
You're describing this 5-4-1 like it's an impenetrable fortress. But I'm looking at a French roster with Mbappe, arguably the most explosive player on the planet. How does a static line of 5 guys completely erase world-class speed?
It's a great question.
Shouldn't elite dynamic talent fundamentally crack a basic low block just through sheer individual brilliance?
What's fascinating here is it comes down to the underlying geometry of the pitch.
Okay.
Speed requires space, right? It requires a channel to run into. When a 5-4-1 is executed with the discipline Paraguay showed, Those channels simply do not exist.
Where they just choked out the space.
Exactly. The wingbacks pinch in, the center backs cover the half spaces, and that midfield block cuts off the passing lanes to the striker's feet.
Wow.
So when Mbappe did get the ball, he wasn't facing one defender he could just beat with pace. He was facing a wall of 3.
Wow.
And with 0 overlapping runs from his own fullbacks to draw those defenders away.
So beating a man just puts him immediately into the chest of another defender?
Exactly that. And this is where the Sports Pulse HQ directive becomes so vital. The directive asks analysts to look at the off-the-ball movement of the attacking team.
And France had, what? None.
Practically none. They relied on slow, predictable passes, basically waiting for Mbappe or Dembélé to perform a miracle. Our source doesn't just call this a bad day at the office.
They were pretty harsh.
Yeah, they use a brutal phrase, diagnosing this as systemic rot and an absolute allergy to creativity. When presented with a complex puzzle, France refused to solve it collectively. They just kept handing the puzzle to their star player and hoping he'd fix it.
Man, if that tactical plan is completely stalling out, and they are essentially running headfirst into this brick wall for 60 agonizing minutes, I mean, something eventually has to give.
Oh, yeah.
The physical toll of the heat, combined with the psychological weight of failing to break down a massive underdog, it creates a total pressure cooker.
And the frustration became visible. The source notes tempers flaring, culminating in a significant bust-up on the pitch during the first half.
Which is wild to see.
Right. You expect a squad of seasoned world champions to maintain their composure and trust their system. The horrifying realization for France fans was that there was no underlying system to fall back on when individual brilliance failed.
And what's wild to me is the complete paralysis on the touchline.
Oh, the management, yeah.
We talk about in-game management all the time. When the initial game plan fails against a low block, you expect the manager to shift the shape.
Make a sub, change the formation.
Exactly. You bring on a physical target man, you switch to a back 3 to create numerical overloads out wide, you inject some kind of chaos. But the French bench offered nothing. They just stared at the pitch, hoping the current failing strategy would magically start working.
And here is where we apply another tenet of the Sports Pulse HQ directive. Evaluate the intervention, not just the initial setup.
Right.
The lack of managerial intervention from France was staggering. They were actively allowing Paraguay to dictate the terms of engagement, just accepting a slow, grinding pace that heavily favored the underdog holding onto a clean sheet.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the moment that actually broke the stalemate didn't come from a beautiful, sweeping 10-pass sequence.
Nope.
It didn't come from open play at all. It came from a clumsy, poorly timed challenge on Désiré Doué in the box. And even then, the referee initially missed it.
Right, they played on for a second.
It took a VAR intervention to halt the game, review the monitor, and hand France a penalty.
A single unforced error from Paraguay in the 70th minute. Mbappe steps up, converts the penalty, and that singular moment essentially books their ticket to the quarterfinals.
Think about the absurdity of that for a second. You have spent billions developing this footballing infrastructure. You field the most intimidating attacking lineup on the planet, and you only survive because of a clumsy challenge and a video replay.
It's pretty damning when you say it like that.
It's like winning a complex game of chess not because of a brilliant checkmate, but because your opponent accidentally knocked over their own king.
That is a phenomenal way to visualize it. The source phrases their survival perfectly. They advanced by the skin of their teeth.
Barely.
They never actually dismantled Paraguay's defensive lines. They simply broke the stalemate on a technicality. Relying on an opponent's unforced error and a VAR review is not a sustainable methodology for winning a major international tournament.
It is the absolute definition of fragile. You can't replicate a clumsy foul in the next round.
You cannot. And it brings us right back to the central theme of the match report. France played with an unearned entitlement and were vastly out-hustled, out-thought, and structurally bested by a team playing with infinitely more heart and tactical discipline.
Yeah.
The better collective team lost to the luckier collection of individuals.
Which rockets us toward the most crucial part of this deep dive. We've established the enormous role luck played in their survival in Philadelphia. Now we have to look forward.
What's next?
What does this systemic rot mean for their actual tournament lifespan? Because if you listen to the mainstream sports networks right now, they are spinning a completely different narrative.
Oh, completely. The traditional talking heads are glancing at the quarterfinal bracket, seeing the French flag, and basically handing them a massive free pass.
Yeah, I've heard it all week.
The rhetoric is incredibly predictable, right?
Right.
Winning ugly is the mark of a champion, or they know how to grind out a result, or, oh, they have the tournament pedigree to peak at the right time.
Right.
They are still aggressively labeling France as the undeniable team to beat.
But the author of our match report delivers a ferocious counter-argument to that exact lazy narrative.
Yeah.
The author argues that if you are a supporter of this French team, you shouldn't be out in the streets celebrating this narrow escape. You should be utterly terrified.
And the terror stems from the fact that the underlying process is fundamentally broken. The source explicitly describes this squad as joyless.
Joyless. That's heavy.
It is. When you watch them, they don't look inspired. They look burdened by the shirt they're wearing. And there's a massive, incredibly dangerous threat looming on the horizon. Next week, in the quarterfinals, they aren't playing a team desperate to survive. They are playing Morocco.
Morocco is a completely different beast.
Completely.
Our source makes a point to emphasize that Morocco is a team with, quote, actual teeth. They are not going to roll over or deploy a passive 5-4-1 bunker and just show polite deference to the French crest.
A chance.
They play an aggressive, high-energy transition game. They're going to press the French midfield, force turnovers, and attack the spaces behind those fullbacks.
The warning in the source material is stark and uncompromising. If France walks onto the pitch against Morocco with this same stagnant, entitled, second-gear mentality, they're going to get dismantled.
Wow.
And the author adds a brutal kicker to that prediction. Based on the absolute lack of tactical identity we just witnessed, they would entirely deserve it.
Now, I want to pull this out of the tactical weeds and connect it directly back to you listening right now. Why should you care about the structural failures of a football team?
It's a fair question.
Because this match is a universally perfect lesson in how past reputation and raw underlying talent can completely mask a broken, toxic system.
Absolutely.
We see this exact scenario play out in business, in corporate leadership, in tech startups all the time. A company barely survives a catastrophic fiscal quarter by some massive stroke of luck, like a competitor makes an unforced error or a random market fluctuation bails them out, and leadership immediately throws a party celebrating that lucky survival as if it was a definitive, brilliant strategic victory.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it illustrates exactly why the Sports Pulse HQ Tactical Eye Test is such a vital framework, not just for sports, but for analyzing success in any domain.
Yeah, separating process from outcome.
Exactly. It forces you to sever the outcome from the process. We have to constantly challenge ourselves to reject the intellectually lazy narrative that winning is all that matters, because how you win absolutely dictates whether you can continue to win.
That is so true.
If your operational process is stagnant, creatively bankrupt, and entirely reliant on your opponent making a clumsy mistake, you are not a favorite. You are a fraud, currently coasting on historical reputation.
So what does this all mean? Let's distill the core insights of this deep dive. France, armed to the teeth with the world's most expensive game-changing talent, walked into the sweltering Philadelphia heat expecting a routine coronation.
And they got to work.
Yeah. Instead, they slammed face first into Gustavo Alfaro's brilliant, soul-crushing defensive bunker. They survived that ordeal not through tactical ingenuity or attacking verve, but through sheer luck, escalating chaos, and a single VAR penalty decision.
Barely survived.
Barely. Their glaring lack of offensive creativity and joy leaves them incredibly, precariously vulnerable as they head into a quarterfinal clash against a highly motivated Moroccan side that will not hesitate to go for the jugular.
It leaves us with a genuinely provocative question to ponder as the rest of this tournament unfolds.
What's that?
Well, we just analyzed a scenario where a squad of the most elite, highly paid, generational talent in the world was rendered completely paralyzed by a simple, rigid, well-drilled defensive block from a team with a fraction of their resources.
Yeah.
So are we entering a new era of football? An era where meticulously organized collective destruction will consistently neutralize and defeat individual, entitled creative brilliance.
That's fascinating.
When a 5-4-1 bunker can completely erase a generational talent like Kylian Mbappé from open play for 90 minutes, we have to seriously ask ourselves, is the age of the superstar team officially dead?
Man. Now that is a thought to chew on as we look toward the quarterfinals. Is the era of the superstar officially giving way to the era of the system? Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. We hope this arms you with a sharp, fresh perspective as you watch the next round. Keep challenging those tired narratives you hear from the traditional pundits. Keep looking for the why behind the what, and never let a shiny reputation distract you from a broken process. Until next time.